These people are crazy people. They don't live in the real world, and it's rather terrifying if you ask me, because they have access to a very large platform. In my opinion, there are many reasons as to why they've gone absolutely insane. As I've explained it in the past couple of videos, I use an analogy like this. Imagine there's a giant body of water that is American political discourse. On the left, a whirlpool started, where these journalists were all following each other in a circle. On Twitter, I mean it literally. And they start repeating each other's rhetoric like a big game of telephone. As the rhetoric gets crazier and crazier, it spins faster and faster. The crazier it gets after that, an exponential gain. But as it spins faster, it starts throwing out regular left-wing individuals. There was a point where I was in this whirlpool, and then it started spinning so fast, I got thrown out. And now I'm looking at the whirlpool from outside saying, whoa, these people have lost their minds. Excuse me. PewDiePie's alt-right ties are impossible to ignore. It's another example of how insane they're becoming. PewDiePie is not alt-right. In fact, when data was compiled on political YouTube, I've frequently cited this data. It shows that it, typically flows to the left. I asked the researcher. He took recommendation data and made a graph, and that's what we saw. I said, where's PewDiePie in this? And I was told that PewDiePie was so far away from political YouTube because he makes videos about memes and games. But these crazy people who are playing this ever more psychotic game of telephone with each other look for any small thing that PewDiePie could do. They made a list of it in this article. Now, PewDiePie is not undeserving of criticism. He's absolutely done really dumb things. So please, yes, call out PewDiePie for doing the dumb things. But 99.8% of what PewDiePie does is so far removed from politics that you can't really put him together with any political faction. We don't see people highlighting things PewDiePie has done and pointing out the weird lefty things he's apparently been involved in. A lot of the things he does are just from Reddit and memes, and sometimes people kind of pull one over on him. There was one incident where he was going through memes on Reddit, and one of the people in one of the memes was apparently alt-right, and PewDiePie didn't know that, and so as he's scrolling through Reddit, he highlighted it, and then boom, the media says it's proof. Well, now we have... let me end that whirlpool analogy. Basically, what's going to happen is it's going to start spinning so rapidly that people just get ripped from it, and it implodes, and there will be no more sphere of influence. They're increasingly losing their sphere of influence. And one of the examples I give is how the AFL-CIO, one of the largest federation of unions, has denounced the Green New Deal. So look, these people, I feel like they're losing it, but don't forget, as people become more desperate, they become more extreme and more violent. I hope that the way I see it, with it spinning out of control and basically bursting, is how things happen. But let's take a look at what they're saying about PewDiePie, who, my God, this is actually hilarious. They don't know anything about culture or memes. The only thing these people know is their weirdo bubble, where everything is white supremacy. And I kid you not, right wing literally means white supremacy to these people. They've never even read like an academic book on politics. They just talk to each other and make these panic circles where they're just going and frantically spinning around in circles like psychopaths. And don't worry, I've got an example from a conversation I had earlier today. 29-year-old YouTuber PewDiePie is not responsible for the New Zealand shooting. We shouldn't shift the blame from the apparent neo-Nazi and Islamophobe who allegedly shot up two mosques last week. Yet tragedies like this don't exist in a vacuum. It's crucial to discuss why, during a sickening live stream of this attack, the New Zealand gunman, I'm not going to say his name, gleefully encouraged viewers to subscribe to PewDiePie. Why? Because it's a meme and PewDiePie has 90 million followers. What if he yelled, like, hey, Tom Cruise? Are people going to go, Tom Cruise? Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible encourages government extrajudicial assassinations. When are we going to talk about that? Obama killed people. Trump killed people. Yes, he did. Look it up. They order these drone strikes, these commando raids. I blame Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise specifically. No, that makes no sense. That's insane. And you all know it. But these people don't. They live in a weird bubble. And they're spinning in circles around each other playing a game of telephone where they talk about insane things for insane reasons. And the funny thing is, they're likely to label me insane for daring to talk about it, to pay some homage to John Lennon. PewDiePie, Felix Schellberg, an influential figure with over 90 million subscribers. His devotees revere him, with all of the cultish fervor of modern stan culture going as far to deface war monuments. Listen, PewDiePie is famous. Are we going to blame Barack Obama for everything that anyone's done, in reference to something Trump said? Now, look, I think PewDiePie makes videos daily. Are we going to blame PewDiePie for every single thing that happens because he's famous? That would be insane. Should we criticize PewDiePie for some of the things on this list? Hands down, yes. PewDiePie, you're not invincible, nor are you deserving of people deserving of an apology for all of the insane things you've done. And I mean all of the insane things as in like a few really bad things. Maybe that was a bit extreme for me to say. PewDiePie has done bad things. Call him out for it. There you go. Let's move on. But the reality is the amount of things that PewDiePie has done that are bad are actually really small. Let's talk about the things he's done that are actually bad. He incorporated anti-Semitic themes and imagery into 9 of his videos. I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably an exaggeration. I don't trust them. But he did pay some dudes to hold up a sign that said something very offensive about Jewish people. And he thought it was a joke. That was inappropriate. Am I going to say PewDiePie is responsible for all these things because he tried to make an offensive joke? No, but yes, PewDiePie, you shouldn't have done that. You should be criticized for it. He apologized for it. Good. Don't do it again. Let's move on. He shouted out the N-word during a live stream. This was an emotional outburst, and it shows the casual nature of using a racial slur. I also do not agree with it and believe PewDiePie should be criticized for it. He paid a heavy price. He lost sponsorships and everything. So, well, there you go, right? PewDiePie made an oopsie, to quote PewDiePie. But again, we can criticize him and carry on recognizing he did something bad, right? What do they want? What do these people on the left want? It's like, do you want these people to just die? Do you want them to never eat again? I get it. PewDiePie's got 90 million followers, but he did take a massive hit for doing these things wrong, and I can get it. He frequently makes casually sexist comments, even going as far to victim blame. I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably absurd. I don't trust them. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets good. His diss track against YouTube rival T-Series included racist verses mocking their skin color. No. He said, I'm a blue-eyes white dragon while you're just dark magician. This is a goddamned Yu-Gi-Oh reference, and the dark magician is white. This is not a reference to skin color. The blue-eyes white dragon is a powerful Yu-Gi-Oh card that's referenced in the anime over again. Now, don't get me wrong. They're probably playing up that he's got blue eyes and he's white. But the dark magician character is also white. It's more of a reference to the fact that dark magician is weak. And it was meant to be a joke. Now, and he says your language sounds like it came from a mumble rap community. That's ethnicist, I guess. I do think there's some criticism warranted here. Like, you don't need, come on, man. Let's not mock other cultures for our perception based on how we see it. So yeah, I do think it's silly to bring up the Yu-Gi-Oh reference. What they seem not to get. Dark Magician is a weak card. I guess. He endorsed E:R, a virulently anti-Semitic, homophobic, and sexist YouTuber because he saw one video about Death Note and didn't know who the channel was. PewDiePie, you should probably look into the channels you endorse, for sure. But I understand that PewDiePie was trying to do a nice thing for a channel that he thought was smaller, and he's very big, and I don't really blame him for it. I watched the Death Note video, and I watched it kind of passively. I didn't really notice anything of it, nor do I actually remember what the video was mostly about. When he endorsed it, I was like, oh, I've seen that channel before. I didn't know either. You're going to blame Ben Shapiro. Well, they say Ben Shapiro is the next one. You're going to blame PewDiePie. I get it. They think he should be more responsible with his massive following. Look, you have someone with 90 million subs, and they're saying his power is why he should be responsible for this. And I think you're getting into dangerous territory here. I can't blame PewDiePie because he doesn't have a massive staff behind him vetting every single thing he does. But I do believe he's worthy of criticism for some of these things, for sure. But to act like he's tied to the alt-right because of, 9 instances? Is this 9? 8. He collaborated with Ben Shapiro. And then they claim that Ben Shapiro uses anti-Semitic tropes of evil Jews. Oh, please, Ben Shapiro's an Orthodox Jew. Shut up. Posted a Columbus Day video depicting indigenous people as cannibals. You got criticism with Ben Shapiro. Take it somewhere else. Ben Shapiro is not alt-right at all. They do not like Ben Shapiro. This is insane. Has spoken out against the trans community on multiple occasions. He sure has. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him to a rather, extreme degree. But Ben Shapiro is an Orthodox religious person who believes religious things. And what are you going to do? Are you allowed to criticize the religious beliefs of a Jewish person? Not on Twitter, apparently. So I'm going to have to go ahead and say you're alt-right for going after Ben Shapiro. He championed Jordan Peterson's book. Peterson loudly opposed legislation protecting gender expression and identity. dismissed the existence of female oppression, Islamophobia, and white privilege, and has made a number of disparaging comments about identity politics and oppression. And Jordan Peterson is hated by the alt-right. These people are desperate to accuse PewDiePie and Jordan Peterson of being alt-right because they believe basically the same things. They do. In fact, I have a guy on Twitter telling me they're the same thing. They're both right-wing ideologies. And I'm like, he told me black identity extremism, like Black Lives Matter, the more extremist versions, not all of them. I think Black Lives Matter is okay. He said these people are right-wing. How do you figure that? Well, it's because they want to make sure no one thinks they're alt-right, but they basically the same thing. Here's the best part. He reportedly followed several controversial figures on Twitter, many of whom have been criticized for their alt-right or right-wing extremist and otherwise racist language. John Chan, for example, made white nationalistic comments about race and immigration. Stefan Molyneux is a white supremacist who actively promotes eugenics. Canadian alt-right white nationalist Lauren Southern was banned from the UK for aggressive Islamophobia. Paul Joseph Watson is a talking head for InfoWars. Let's go through this. First, John Tron said some dumb things because he clearly didn't know what he was talking about. And he should absolutely be criticized for the things he didn't know what he was talking about. He did. He apologized for them. Stefan Molyneux, I feel like, has gone pretty far off the rails, and I don't know what he's about. I've actually not watched a lot of his content, but I know he's put out some ridiculous tweets recently that I think are just totally wrong. Lauren Southern is alt-light, not alt-right. She gets pretty damn close. So, like, some of these things I think you can point out, but what they don't point out is the aggressive Islamophobia that they're pointing to was Lauren Southern doing like an LGBT activist, like a pro-LGBT rights thing. And that's what got her banned because it was considered Islamophobic. It was a juxtaposition protest thing she was doing of trying to put LGBT next to Islam. By all means, criticize all of these people. Paul Joseph Watson is a talking head for InfoWars, whatever. The point is, they got Lacey Green here. This is what's really funny. They got Lacey Green and Notch. They got Notch and Lacey Green. Congratulations, the founder of Minecraft and an intersectional feminist who runs a sex-positive educational channel. Smash an egg over this guy's head. All right, we've gone on long enough. Oh, they do a correction too. PewDiePie currently only follows K-pop group BTS. All right, I'm gonna do this. I normally don't like dragging people. You know what? I'm not gonna do it. Because I don't want everyone to start piling on. There's a guy on Twitter. He works for BuzzFeed. And he told me that right-wing ideology is defined as using the power of the state to oppress ethnic minorities. I'm not going to show who he is because then people are going to start brigading his account, and I don't like that idea, so I'm going to avoid that. But it appears that his definition of right-wing comes from, I don't know, under a rock, because there's no academic definition I can find that actually says that. In fact, right-wing ideology is typically described as the belief in natural law and natural order and respect for these processes, whatever the word is. And left wing is more about control of these natural systems to institute fairness. And these create the prevailing ideologies associated with them. So when you talk about natural order and natural law, you end up with free market capitalism, laissez-faire, the idea that just let things, let the market handle itself, the invisible hand will guide it, the natural order of how things are supposed to function. You also end up with racial supremacy, the idea that if some races are inherently smarter or better, then, they should or shouldn't exist. Ethno-nationalism doesn't necessarily fall into that unless they're overtly traditionalist, but it is an entirely different thing. So it gets really complicated. This was in relation to the video I made earlier today where I talked about what makes black identity extremism left-wing and what makes white supremacy right-wing. To me, they're basically the same things, right? You can look at a lot of the black identity extremists and white supremacists and see they hold the identical views. The only difference is whose skin color is better. So I don't know how you differentiate that. But this is a guy who works for BuzzFeed, verified journalist who genuinely believes that right-wing means using the power of the state to protect the ethnic majority and hate. And it's like a really ridiculous definition. That's what they think. This is a BuzzFeed reporter. That should worry you. When we see these insane stories, PewDiePie's alt-right ties are impossible to ignore. I'm sorry, he follows people on Twitter. We can talk about Rashida Tlaib following anti-Semitic pages too. Rashida Tlaib was following an account that put a Jewish Star of David on a rat, for the love of God. No, they said, oh, she's just following. You can't blame her for that. Oh, we're not going to blame PewDiePie either. Well, PewDiePie unfollowed everybody but K-pop group BTS. There you go. I'm going to end by saying this. It's time to sever all ties from everyone. Because any association, in any capacity, at any point, any time, anywhere, is offensive to everyone, period. You know what? I have nothing to do with PewDiePie. I disavow PewDiePie. I never met the guy, never shared a word with him. But you know what they're going to say? Now Tim Pool is associated with PewDiePie. I'm kidding. PewDiePie's all right. He's a cool guy. Whatever. Made some mistakes, criticize him for it. What are you going to do? Final thought. These people are insane. And I can only hope that they spiral out of control and evaporate when their revenue streams dry up. But until then, we're stuck with these people influencing politics and convincing companies that they actually represent the majority. I love saying this. The largest federation of labor unions opposes the Green New Deal. Eat that. You're not the mainstream. You're not supporting labor either. Labor opposes you. I will see you at 4 p.m. on the main channel, youtube.com/Timcast. It's a different channel. It's a different channel. A lot of people are like, I don't understand how this is a different channel. Your name on this channel is Timcast. Don't ask me why YouTube did that. I don't know. It just defaulted. And I didn't change it because I didn't think about it. And there you go. Whatever. I'll see you at 4.